our podcasts are also shown on YouTube, so that's the video I'm switching. But so for my journey, I did 10 years of bodybuilding before I really got into strength-based training. And when I did, I started with Wendler's 531 program, did that for I think 12 or 16 weeks. Then I went to Brandon Lilly's Cube method, did that for like I think 8 or 12 weeks. I didn't really like that very much. Then there was Lily Bridges' structure. Their family had a structure to training that I copied and tried out. And then I eventually just kind of started breaking it down into my own. I realized for all the best programs, there was some type of movement prep stuff. So all that stuff I already told you about earlier in the podcast. So where you're doing prehab, rehab, movement restoration, warm ups, all that, blah 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 blah. So every program had something to do with that. So movement prep. Every program obviously had a strength movement. So you're going to have squat, bench, and deadlift. And then every program had accessories, but not every program understood the difference between accessories of strength versus accessories for mass. So some of them would give you a movement that was designed to relate to the main movement strength-wise, but they would have you progress in a mass type progression. So they didn't know what they were really doing, to be honest with you. And as I played around with all this stuff, that's what I started to do. So I recognized accessories needed to be split into strength or mass and assigned progressions accordingly, so that way I could actually get the best result that were intended for each one, and then also lessen the joint stress so I wasn't having all these damn nagging injuries and my elbows hurt like hell and my knees hurting, because the programs just beat the living shit out of people, and a lot of the people who wrote those programs were on massive amounts of steroids when they wrote them, or when they performed them themselves, so it's hard to do that stuff when you're not on all those steroids. So it taught me the need to personalize. So, for example, with my squats, I found out I needed more technique work than compared to bench and deadlifts, and I needed to use lighter weights with higher volume. So when I changed variations, it always felt kind of awkward, and progressions were good from week to week, but when I returned to my competition style squat, I didn't really see a lot of improvement. So the less I varied from my main competition style squat, the actually more I improved. Whereas if I stuck with deadlift too long, I felt beat up. So I had to get a lot of variations of deadlifts in to feel good with deadlifts, but I had to have almost no variations with my squat to feel good with squats. So when I would go too heavy, I'd actually get muscle, like with squats, I would get muscle strains and my legs actually got smaller. So what I found was with squats, if I went heavy, it was too intense of a stimulus and there wasn't enough volume. So I had to bring the weight down and do more sets and reps. And that actually allowed me to get stronger and bigger in my squat. So it was a big thing for me to learn for my specific body, my specific skill set. What do I need to do to approach my squats best? And I found that that was different than deadlifts. And why am I comparing them to deadlifts? Because they're both lower body movements. So a deadlift, when done correctly, is a leg movement, not a back movement. So it's a leg exercise. So I found out that I had to actually train them very differently. So my squats and deadlifts are actually trained as about as different as you could possibly get. So the less often I deadlift, the better I do at it. And if I don't squat like with a barbell on my back every single week, everything goes to shit. So it really took me some time to learn that. So that's what I would suggest is, if you're going to take anything away from this program, is to take the structure that I've given you, but make it your own. So start with movement prep. Address rehab and prehab, so any muscles that are bugging you, anything that's going to like limit your motions for the day. So make sure your muscles are stretched out and evened out. Make sure that you have any kind of acute small annoyances addressed. Then you want to do weaknesses for that main lift. So if you know that, like, if you have a physical weakness related to it, make sure it's included in the warm-up. So if you have weak glutes, include your glute in the warm-up. For maybe bench press, if you have weak triceps, actually include some triceps into your warm-up. Yes, it's going to pre-exhaust your bench press a little bit, but over time it'll make your triceps a lot stronger. So you might miss out in the now to make a ton of progress in the then, in the future. So that's the first thing you want to do, is do movement prep stuff. Then you're going to do your strength movement, and you want to make sure you address something for technique, physical, and mental development. So something for each. So how do you know when you're physically exhausted or physically completed in a strength movement? Is when you're paying attention to your form as best as you can, but the technique is still breaking down. It's time to move on. So if you're doing a lift and you're doing it correctly for a couple sets, and then all of a sudden it just starts kind of going, oh man, I'm kind of losing my balance, I'm getting fatigued, I'm getting tired, just move on. Once you can't maintain proper technique, there's no point in doing it. Okay, you then move on to your accessories. You do your strength ones first, then you do your mass ones. So in your strength accessories, you want to progress in weight, even if you have to decrease the reps in order to do so. That's fine. So maybe week one, you have like 3 sets of 6. Next week is 3 sets of 5, then 3 sets of 4, then 3 sets of 3. It's okay if you give up a rep each week if it allows you to increase in weight used, because that is a strength progression. Okay? Then for mass ones you want to get bigger from, you progress in reps within a time under tension first. So I know time under tension of 20 to 40 seconds is muscle growth, 30 to 40 seconds is more joint friendly. So I might do something as heavy as I can for 30 seconds. Then next time I come in, I want to see if I can do as heavy as I can for maybe 32 or 33 seconds. Maybe that's one extra rep. The next time maybe I come in, I try it for like 36, 37 seconds. So that's 2 extra reps from week one. And then maybe the next time I come in, I try for 40 seconds. Maybe that's an extra rep or 2 there. So that would be the idea. Is mass, you're trying to stay within a correct time under tension. You want to increase your reps first, and then when you maximize the time under tension, so say once I got to 40 seconds, I would then increase weight and have to probably drop back down to 30 seconds. So mass progressions are more time under tension based, whereas strength progressions are weight used based, and that makes sense for what their goals are. So also the intent of the movement. So if you're doing something for strength, you want to focus on the movement intention. How well am I moving my body efficiently in this motion? Then for muscle growth ones or muscle shaping ones, you want to have muscle intention. Meaning, am I contracting and stretching the exact muscle I want? No momentum. Everything's very hyper focused, intent on the muscle. So in podcast 220, we talk about muscle tension versus movement tension. So you can go listen to that if you want to learn more about it. So, that's what I would suggest if you want to have programming that maximizes both strength and mass. You want to follow the workout concept of movement prep, strength, accessories for strength, accessories for mass. Within each of those, you're going to have categories of what you need, and then you're going to try to address them the best you can. So, for example, with bench press, I'm going to do movement prep. I'm going to do rehab, prehab. Maybe I have a shoulder annoyance or tight pec fibers. So maybe I'm going to do some weighted compression into my chest, and that'll help me relax my chest fibers and get more motion out of them that day. And then maybe I'm going to do, like in our gym, we have a ski erg from Concept, that company like that does Concept rowers. So we have the ski erg and we have a rower. We actually have a special attachment for a rower to allow you to attach any handles to a rower whatsoever. So I might do seated rows to warm up my upper back, combined with ski erg to get like my excitability of my whole upper body up, and they're also really good for kind of warm up and stretching your lats. So the ski erg motion. So I might do the compression therapy on my pec fibers on both outside pecs, make sure they're loose. I might do Concept 2 rower, seated rows into ski erg to get my upper back pumped up, get my lats loose, and that kind of warms everything up. So maybe in my weakness, if my weakness in bench press is a good tight upper back, that would be a great warm up to address that, plus do all of everything else that I desired. Then I'm going to do my strength motions. I'm going to do a bench variation that addresses what we need. So if I want to get stronger triceps, maybe I'll do a close grip bench press. Maybe I'll do reverse band benching. Those both work triceps really well. If I want to get a stronger chest, maybe I'll do a wide grip bench press. Maybe I'll do a wide grip and pause off my chest a little bit. So at the bottom of each rep, maybe I'll pause a 1/4 inch off the chest. That's going to help you work your chest and kind of supporting structures as well. Then I'm going to go to strength accessories, which could be like dumbbell presses and dips, for example. I'm going to add weight each week as I try to get better at those. And then I'm going to go to my growth accessories, which is chest, triceps, and maybe upper back. So I'm going to do chest flies, maybe tricep press downs, maybe pull-ups and rows, stuff like that. I'm going to do 20 to 40 seconds of time or attention, add reps within that range, and then if I get to the top of the range, I'll add weight and restart my progression through the 20 to 40 second range. So that is an example of what you want to do for a bench workout. So if you want, we have basic structure write-ups. So everything I've explained in this podcast, we have on paper. And we can send you an example for a single workout for free, absolutely free, and it would give you the sample for a workout. So kind of what I talked through with the bench press example. Or if you would like a full example, like full program example that has like 4 training days, typical like squat, bench, deadlift, then like a secondary bench day. That since that took more time to complete, that one we are charging a little bit for. So it's $20 if you want that, and it's something you can then put in any exercises you want. So it's a conceptual program. So that's basically the basic format I use for all my clients. Now, each client is different in what they need and the order of everything, but what would be in each client's programming is included in this. Just the order and the emphasis would be different per client. But if you'd like that basic conceptual program that you can plug and play and put any exercises you want, so you would basically be able to use that for the rest of your life. That's $20. Or if you sign up for the patron, you can sign up to support the podcast at $10 a month, and we'll send you this, and you get it for $10. Okay. So, but that's something that you can use for the rest of your life. Plug in any exercises you want, but you'll know that all the categories are addressed, so you won't miss anything. Then we also have personalized programming, so you can sign up to become like an online client where I write stuff for you. We email back and forth, we do video reviews, all that fun stuff. Or you can do a 16-week program, which is where I take the conceptual program, I ask you a bunch of questions, I watch and see how you move and how you lift, and then I put in the exercises for you. So you can get a 16-week program from me, and that'll give you an example of how to use the conceptual program, so that way you can use that on your own from there on out. So if you would like any help in this, we have free options up to more expensive options because they take more time and more personalized attention. So don't leave this podcast without information if you want it. It's free. We have free information. So contact us if you like what's been discussed here and you think that it could benefit your training. Please, please, please reach out. For some way, whether it's free or costs money, we'll find a way to get you the information. Okay? So I appreciate you investing this much time into listening to my opinions and knowledge. So I want to make sure you get something for it. So thank you for listening, and please reach out if you would like support in any of the ways that I mentioned. Cool. Okay, that's it. Hopefully this gave you some good food for thought, gave you some ideas on how you can kind of personalize your programming, but also make sure you don't miss any of the key elements. Cool. If you like the podcast, please share it with family and friends. The more people we help, the happier the world will be. Also, if you like the information, you can find more from us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Brutal Iron Gym. And if you have any questions, feedback, or suggestions, we'd love to hear from you. The podcast is for you, so we want to know what you want to learn about. And you can tell us at our email at brutalironGym@gmail.com. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.